All right, welcome in to another episode of the Section Y8 podcast. We're going to break this thing up into threes. I'm going to address the controversy, talk about the game last Saturday, and then look ahead to the SEC tournament this weekend, which as of recording this has already started, but we'll get into all that. So who do I have with me here tonight?
Hallelujah,
Montana.
Jubilee. I can hear the angel band.
Amen, brother.
So we got Harb with us, and he's got a Whiskey Myers hat on. For
Sure
those
do.
that are,
I wore it just for my buddy.
for those that are listening,
Wore it just for my buddy.
and then we've got Big Montana's also here as he's putting a big dip in.
I wore my hat because I wanted to wear it. I don't wear clothes for anybody else because I ain't queer.
There you go.
All right.
Day Vol couldn't join us tonight. He had a prior engagement he had to be at, so
You see that?
I'm not watching.
Okay.
Harbin's got the SEC tournament on Ole Miss, South Carolina, who I picked Ole Miss.
Ole Miss just won pretty much.
Well, good for
6
them.
seconds left. Ole Miss up 5 or shooting free throws. Spoiler alert.
Well, good for them. If you're listening, you may already know this because the episode will be out and it's probably Thursday. So hopefully you're listening to this on your way to work Thursday morning or at work. Shout out to the Nashville folks that listen at work. Hopefully they're listening all on separate computers so we get higher ratings. But hopefully you listen to this before the SEC tournament starts. So this past Saturday night, guys, you saw it on Twitter. I tweeted some stuff and I didn't really notice it till probably Sunday afternoon, maybe around lunchtime, that it had blown up. Because normally when I tweet something from the Section Y8 Twitter account, it gets very little to zero interactions. And for some reason, this one got a lot of interactions. So I don't know. I guess all it takes is the right person seeing it. But basically what I said, I was reading, we were all texting each other and I was reading some other things. And I got really aggravated because people were crapping on Tennessee basketball, crapping on Rick Barnes. We just finished the season 22-9. I know we lost to Auburn, but it was just really got under my skin Saturday night. And I'll read it to you. I'm trying to pull it up here. I had it pulled up and it went away. So I tweeted, TN fans, Tennessee fans amaze me. They'll slobber, and I misspelled slobber. Slober. The spelling police got me. But in my defense, the spell check on my phone never caught it. And Charlie Burris, who writes for a living, said he never saw it when he responded to one of the tweets. So, in my defense.
Never happened.
Anyway, they'll slobber over Tony Vitello. I put choke 2 years in a row in NCAA tournament. Went to Omaha, lost 2 in a row. Lost to Notre Dame last year in the Super Regionals. And praise Kelly Harper, one ranked win in 2022-23. They beat LSU Saturday night. Great win. Very happy for him. But if you listen to Lady Vols fans, they were just over the moon. It was like they just won the national title. And they love Heupel. I love all these guys and ladies. Don't get me wrong, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But he choked against South Carolina Heupel. But shit on Rick Barnes, who has Tennessee relevant in basketball after he inherited a dumpster fire. Dumbest fan base in America. Now,
that's where you lit the fire.
But listen, that's where people twisted this tweet and these comments into something it wasn't. It was not aimed at any other Tennessee coach. It was not me crapping on any other Tennessee coach. I love our coaches. I think they've done an outstanding job, Kelly Harper included. My only complaint is, why does Rick Barnes and Tennessee basketball get so – I mean, it's like it's elevated. When these guys lose a game, it's here we go again, season's over, same old story over and over. Why is that not the same case with all sports at UT? How many decades have we gone through here, or how many years have we gone through and seen this same stuff over and over and over again? Tennessee baseball, they've not been relevant, done anything in years. They choked 2 years in a row when they had the chance. Tennessee football, same thing. They choked this year against South Carolina. The Lady Vols haven't beat anybody of any significance this year except LSU, and then they got beat by near 20 points against South Carolina. All I'm saying is, why are these losses not treated equally? And some of the comments I got just blew my mind. And some of them were good. Some of them were good and got what I was saying. But many people didn't. I got one, and I'm trying to find it here, and said this was the worst, one of the worst Vol Twitter accounts ever. I don't even think the guy follows me. Here's a delete account. This guy said, I just followed only so I can unfollow. That's at 1986 Champ Mets. Good job. Let's see. There was another good one on here. I mean, just anything. It just blew my mind reading some of these comments over the weekend and spilling into Monday that basically was saying that I was crapping on other programs. It just frustrates me that everybody else gets a pass. Like, when do they stop getting passes? Like, when is the line drawn? Because this has been Tennessee's 22-9 in men's basketball. We're ranked in the top 15 all year long. All the analytics say we're one of the top 5 to 10 teams in the country, and we lose a game to a pretty decent Auburn team, not their best under Bruce Pearl, but we have maybe 2 bad losses this year. I think Colorado and Florida are probably our 2 worst losses. Everybody else is, well, Vandy's probably down there in quad 2 too. Everybody else was not a bad loss. But it's just like elevated when Rick Barnes and Tennessee loses, but we're giving everybody else a pass, and I just don't understand it. That was the crux of my tweet the other night, not to crap on anybody, and that got misconstrued, of course, and obviously by the Twitter mob. But yeah, I'm not crapping on any coach. That's just a fact. I love our coaches. Name a school with better coaches right now than Tennessee. I don't think you can, top to bottom. What do you think, Harbin? What do you think about all that as you witnessed it go down Saturday?
I thought it was funny, honestly.
It was funny. I laughed about most of them, but some of them I was just like, you guys are getting some of the most ridiculous takes and ideas out of that post I posted.
I know you, so I knew what you meant, and it's a good point. But I do think the last sentence you put in there is what got everybody fired up. Calling pretty much our target audience the dumbest people in America. But if you wanted engagements, you got them, by God.
That's not why I said it. I was just saying, let's stop being dumb.
I'm with you.
Dumb.
Like I said, I know what you meant, but there's a lot of people that don't know us and don't know what we mean when we say things
because they're dumb.
Maybe I would call it ignorant because they're not informed of our style per se. I don't know. Yeah, I know what you mean though. I mean, Barnes gets the most heat for shortcomings out of any coach here. However, people came out of the woodworks after the football team after that night in Columbia. And people were pissed about the baseball. I mean, it's all recency bias, in my opinion. Like, I mean,
people were pissed off over the South Carolina. They're like, you're this close to doing it and couldn't do it. I don't think they were dragging Heupel over. I think they were more or less dragging the team, which they should have because they played like shit.
Yeah, you're right.
I agree with that too. And people were pissed about baseball when we lost in Supers. People were crowning us best college baseball team of all time in May, and then you go out there and you can't win 2 out of 3 against a team that's unranked in your home ballpark. I mean, that got
Yeah.
the people fired up too.
I don't remember it being to the level of questioning the coach constantly.
No. In Heupel's defense, I think it's too early to question him since he overachieved so much last year.
Definitely. No doubt.
I think Barnes gets the most heat because he's the longest tenured coach, and we've kind of gotten used to what happens in springtime. I think that's part of the reason that people are kind of over it. It's like a coach that gets you out of the gutter and gets you to the hump, which I would argue that we got over the hump, whatever that proverbial hump is. But they might think that depending on who we hire, we could make that next leap after Barnes. So I think that's why we get a lot of frustration with that. Kelly don't get a whole lot of scrutiny just because not a lot of people watch women's basketball. Let's just be 100% honest with that statement.
Oh, they do. You're right. One of the comments about the Lady Vols I got that frustrated me, I can't find it on here. I know it's on here, but basically one person said the Lady Vols and Kellie Harper are living up to expectations. And I about fell over backwards. Expectations at Tennessee for the Lady Vols are one ranked win in an entire season and making it to the SEC title game. I thought it was getting to the Final Four.
I was about to say,
the national title.
You could argue that Tennessee women's basketball has top 2 expectations in the country between them and UConn.
Top 5, at least.
I mean, at least top 5.
You could throw Stanford in there, and I guess now South Carolina and Notre Dame, people like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, expectation levels are always high because of Pat, But I don't know. I feel like expectations have been lowered for him over the last, how long has it been since Pat retired? 10 years? 11 years, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has. I'm just saying, when that comment was made to me in the argument that Kellie Harper was meeting expectations, I mean, for goodness sake, she's in year 4, and unless she brings in some stud freshmen or portal players, they're kind of almost rebuilding next year. And they're in year 4 and they're winning one ranked game. They've played a handful all year. That's the best they can do. That's not meeting expectations for the Lady Vols to me. Things may have changed. I don't know. Not in my book. When you walk in Thompson Bowling Arena, you don't see NCAA tournament banners or Sweet 16s or Elite 8s. You don't even see Final Four banners. You see national championships. And that's what that program should be about. But I just wanted to address the controversy. I don't hate Tennessee fans.
I haven't given my opinion yet.
Oh, go ahead, Big Montana. How do you feel?
I was honestly heartbroken over what happened. I felt like we had a good stronghold on the UT fans as a podcast of the people, and I feel like we kind of let them down, Nice. And it kind of reminded me of Kendrick Perkins this week. What he said on First Take, and I kind of feel like I got to address this. You were out of line, 100%. You were out of line. You called the fan base dumb, and I'm here to stand up for them. As you may have saw on Twitter, me and you got into a heated discussion in the church parking lot Sunday morning, and deacons and pastors and elders and the clergy.
Was it before or after the service?
It was after the service. So we didn't get a chance to really go down to the altar and work it out. So there's some beef there.
I want to address one thing you just said. We did not let down Vol Nation. We didn't do shit.
It was Nice.
Yes.
It was me. I ain't backing down from it. I said what I said.
From our Twitter account, though.
I said what I said.
I mean, it's yours, but it's ours.
But so I honestly think that people just need to calm the hell down. I mean, it's not a big deal. That's my favorite thing about Twitter is if people just get so damn offended over dumb shit. You know, like I've seen people get pissed off about Morgan Wallen tweets this week. I'm like, who cares?
Really? I haven't seen that. What he tweet?
I just people, saying they're still supporting racism and all this.
Oh God.
The traditional country music crowd saying, "Look, this crap." Willie Nelson, whatever, and all. I'm
Whiskey
like,
Myers.
We get it, man. Not everybody drinks a craft beer while they listen to music. Some people like a good Miller Lite.
Speaking of Morgan Wallen, I think the outro to this week's episode should be 98 Braves because we were that close. Baby. We were that close. We let it slip through our fingers because of a tweet.
Those three pitchers, Andrew and Chipper.
I don't know. I don't know if you've seen or I've told you our ratings or statistics. They're pretty bad. So
we were close to the hump, Nace. That's going to be my excuse now. We were right there.
Football season, we're coming back, boys.
We're in the NLCS and just couldn't get out of it.
I did get some support from some folks who told me to stay strong, and it weeds out all the idiots. So there's that for something. So,
well, we have haters now, so that's cool.
We definitely have haters and losers.
listen, boys.
Which there are apparently many.
Any press is good press.
I'd agree with that.
There was some people
making movies, boys.
There was some people that actually commented and wanted to talk about it instead of just blasting the comment. Zach McGill, who I went to high school with, says no one cares about RB, Rick Barnes, or Tennessee basketball. It's baseball season. That was dumb. Sorry, Zach. That was dumb. I don't know why he said that. Oh, God, there's one in here I really wanted to. I mean, people took it serious. I mean, I wasn't calling Tennessee fans dumb, but things like that is dumb. Saying that Rick Barnes needs to retire is dumb. I'm sorry. If anybody on here thinks that's dumb. Rick Barnes has us winning 20 to 25 games a year, going to the NCAA tournament annually. We're anywhere from a 3 to a 5 seed every year. What's so wrong with that? Man, you all are speechless.
I mean, I can argue both sides.
I can too. Listen, I get it. If that's your goal is to make the tournament, Rick Barnes is your man. I'm just tired of seeing teams that, that are beating number one teams in the country. They're beating Kentucky. They're beating, Alabama. They're winning the SEC title game. And then when the proof comes to shove, or, when the proof's in the pudding, they get put out by Michigan in the second round. Like, that infuriates me. And that's just that's Rick Barnes in a nutshell. I'm sorry. I like the guy, good Christian man. I hope I'm 100% wrong. I hope the Vols are playing in the last game of the season this year and everybody can make fun of me on this podcast. I hope that happens. I'll buy a damn t-shirt again. I bought a t-shirt last year when they won the damn SEC tournament. But I don't know. It's like there's so much momentum and the train's running downhill and then we get hit by a bigger train. I don't know.
Well, my argument all year, excuse me, as I choked to death.
Rick.
I'm getting my comeuppance. But my argument with it, I was talking to, I can't remember who it was the other day. Maybe it was Nick Bernard, listener of the show. And basically what we said, I hope it was him, by the way. So if you're listening, Nick, and this wasn't you, then disregard this conversation. My point all year, and I've texted you all this several times, is, and I know Josh Walker, who doesn't listen to the show, friend of mine in Big Montana's, Harvey met him at LSU. Tennessee's too inconsistent. We've been up and down all year. Yes. What team in college basketball hasn't been on a roller coaster ride all year long? I mean, it's everybody. Purdue was the hottest team in America, unanimous number one, and they lost like 5 out of 6 to finish the year. Alabama has been up and down here recently from problems from within, mostly. Houston has been kind of up and down. Arizona has been up and down. Kansas had a rough streak in the middle of the season. I mean, it's not just Tennessee, but I think somebody compared it to, we talk about Rick Barnes' inconsistency. He's wasted opportunities. What about John Calipari in Kentucky?
I agree.
I mean,
I said the other day in the text, that's like one guy who has done worse as far as, expectations is John Calipari. I mean, you bring a guy in paying that much money and he's getting first-round draft picks every year, you're expected to be Elite Eight or bust, if not a Final Four championship team. I mean, I understand that it's hard to win with one of your guys, but he's kind of past that now. He's done getting the one and dones, right?
Yeah, he's not really getting that many anymore.
Yeah.
No, because you can go to the G League now.
Right. So I mean, he's literally been the poster child of underperformance.
Well,
I think where a lot of the frustration stems from is, like, yes, our basketball program was dog shit when Barnes got here, but now we've gotten a taste of relevancy.
Right.
We've gotten the number 1, number 2, number 3 in the AP. We've been a 1 seed or a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. We've won the SEC. And human nature is the more you get, the more you want. Right. So, and I truly believe, and I truly believe that, I don't know if a Sweet 16 will cut it, but if we get to an Elite Eight this year, not a single person will be bitching about Rick Barnes at all. Not one.
It's kind of the same situation if we go back 5 years ago, whenever Butch Jones was winning 8 or 9 ball games a year. Half the league was like, we would have killed the 8-win team under Dooley. We would have killed to been an 8-win team under this, and we would have killed to been like, that's great. But like, he got us there, got us back to relevancy, but it wasn't enough. Like and I'm not comparing Butch Jones to Rick Barnes at all, but I kind of am. But anyway, we saw what happened, and it necessarily wasn't Butch Jones being a good coach that got us to 8-4. It was him being a good recruiter who brought in Josh Dobbs and Kamara and Hurd and everybody else. But whenever the talent was gone, it showed his true colors, and it was time to move on. And we really should have fired Butch Jones after that Vandy loss the year 16, but we didn't. So I'm not saying that the same thing's going to happen in basketball, but I hope it doesn't happen the same way it did in football.
I'll say this: if we get to the Elite Eight and don't get to the Final Four, this guy right here will not be happy. That won't be because of Rick Barnes. I'm just tired of getting to the dance floor and not get out there and dancing. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying?
Be upset if we go to our second ever Elite Eight
and don't get to the Final Four. Yes.
I mean, I'll be upset in the moment.
I'll be mad that we lose.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, hell, if we go to the national championship game and lose, we're going to be upset. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But you're not going to sit there and bash the team and the coaches.
No. I'll just be disappointed that we lost. I mean, we were talking. I'll probably cut it out. I'll probably cut it out. But Harbin said we needed to put in the '98 Braves Morgan Wallen song as our outro tonight. But that song basically talks about the Braves had one of the best teams ever in baseball that year, '98. You had Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones. I'm forgetting who played. Was McGriff on that team? I'm pretty sure McGriff was on that team. The Crime Dog. Look how many Hall of Famers are on that team.
Yep.
And they didn't even get to the World Series. But that song the other night, I was sitting outside listening to his album. I mean, he could put, and I tweeted this, he could put Tennessee any season or pick a lot of seasons in that song instead of the Braves. Tennessee football, 2001. Tennessee football, Tennessee basketball 2018, Tennessee baseball 2021 or 2022, whatever you want to call it. How many times have Tennessee blown opportunities to win something and be relevant? It's been a lot, and I think that's what's frustrating overall to me. My whole argument with the hate on Rick Barnes is he's built this program up. It's nationally relevant, recruits at a high level, competes for the SEC every year, competes to be a top 4 seed, one of the top 4 seeds in a region every year, which is what you want to be.
I kind of think that people are bashing Rick Barnes because he got the product to a championship level fast, and he honestly had a great team with Grant Williams and Schofield. And that year when they lost to Sister Jean, and I understand stuff happens. It's all about runs and all this other stuff. But and then last year too, we were sitting there saying, this is going to be a Final Four team. They ran through the SEC tournament. They ran through the SEC for the most part. And I think that we kind of saw Rick Barnes win early without his guys, and then he's getting his guys. So you're just thinking that honestly, he's just going to get better and better. And the same results kept happening and happening and happening. And I think Rick Barnes would have almost been better if he gradually got better instead of getting good so quick. Because, he was there, 2 seasons, and they were pretty much rolling?
In his 3rd season is when they won the SEC regular season with Auburn.
Exactly. So, it would – it's the same with Philip Fulmer. He created a monster, right? We did. And like Harp said, it's never enough. If you give them an inch, they want a mile. It's just the natural human
We're all
desire.
guilty of it.
Yeah, it's a natural human desire, right?
Yeah.
You want – I'm going to give you 2 free beers. Well, I'd rather have 6, you know what I mean? It's the same principle.
Right, yeah.
And I honestly think that we haven't had a chance in football until this year to even be remotely in the conversation. We're just sitting here at the beginning of the year saying, hey, we hope it's 8 or 9 wins. And if it's 10-win season, my God, we've done something. And we end up winning 11, and we're like, holy shit, we're 1 game away from the college football playoff. And, same with baseball. Nobody gave a shit about baseball 4 years ago. They didn't. You can buy tickets for $5. Now, go see Gonzaga play on Friday night. You're going to pay $50. In a non-SEC game. And I honestly think that Tony Vitello, if he doesn't do something soon, he's going to be in the same situation, getting bashed like Rick Barnes, because people are over it. I said something today on Twitter, and I got Mr. Stanton got mad at it, but I said, boys, if we keep running the bases, let's put the lightsabers up and the Darth Maul mask up, and let's get back to basics and not lose to Boston College on a freaking Tuesday night because we can't run the bases. We scored 12 runs and couldn't win. It's a joke. Do better.
If you scored 12 runs and don't win, I don't know if that's exactly all on base running.
Well, there was so many.
We scored 12 last night.
10 or 12, something like that.
I thought we lost 7-6 or something like that.
I didn't watch it, so
I didn't either. I was watching mid-major basketball all night, and it was not good last night, except for the Colonial Athletic Conference championship game, Charleston versus UNC Wilmington. Great game. The rest of them were total duds. I turned on.
You're right. It was 7-6. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, I didn't think they scored 12 runs. You would have been right. If they scored 12 runs and lost, then something else was going on. But I don't know. Baseball's such a different sport than basketball. That's such a different sport than football. You lose 1 or 2 games in football, you're done. You lose 9 games like Tennessee has in basketball, you're probably right in the mix, right in the thick of things. You're
the thing about it is
top seeds, but
in baseball, you just need to win the series. If you just win the series, if you win 2 out of 3 games, you're good. It's not that big of a deal, but we've created a monster. we're sweeping folks the entire time. I mean, last year we were killing folks until we played Kentucky, and we lost 2 games out of 3, and the sky was falling.
Yeah. Well, the sky. If you got on last night, people were panicky, but they weren't criticizing. Is my whole point is if that was a game that Rick Barnes had lost last night, to say, I don't know, I'm just throwing a random Tennessee Tech. Colorado. Let's use that. People were all over him back in December about it. But last night, I saw a little criticism of Tony Vitello because of the base running, and that's been an issue with this program over the past 3 years especially. It's just been overshadowed by the amazing pitching and outstanding hitting that they have. But I don't think they have the offense that they've had in the past. Obviously, you can't after losing that much firepower. But there was very little criticism of I'm talking about the loss. I'm not talking about how they lost. Right. But people were, well, it's early. It was a Tuesday night game. But I get it. I totally get it. But he's in year 5. You shouldn't lose to Boston College with the talent we have on a Tuesday night at not Neyland, at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. I'm sorry, you shouldn't.
Nope.
I've got a couple points about the baseball. One, the base running is an issue. However, I think it's really the only flaw that our baseball program's had in the last 3 years. So it stands out a lot more than, let's say, I don't know, the basketball team may have 2 or 3 flaws, or the football team may have 2 or 3 flaws. Because we've done literally everything else at the highest elitist level that you can, whether it's pitching, hitting for power, hitting for average, we've done it all. So if we have one thing that we're really not great at, I don't know the exact stats. Hell, we might not even be bad. But if it's something that we're not great at, obviously people are going to point it out and be like, oh, well, you can't do that in June or whatever, which is all fine and dandy. But we as a whole just overreact in the moment, whether it's good or bad.
Right. Honestly, I think last year, the reason why they lost in the super regional or regional or whatever it was this right here. Whenever Gilbert or whoever it was got tossed in that game and he had to sit a game because he basically told the umpire to go F himself or whatever, and he got jacked, it literally brought everything down. Yeah. So, and honestly, Tony Vitello has to do a better job of controlling his guys. Now, I haven't seen anything crazy happen yet, but, the crawling to home plate and putting your finger on it and being a douchebag. Listen, it's funny. It's all great. But at the end of the day, it's going to catch up to you. And you're going to look like a freaking moron. Like on Tuesday night when you got lightsabers and putting dang Darth Vader mask on, you get beat by Boston College. It's nonsense. Go win the damn game. Like I said today, yeah, have fun this summer when you're at Myrtle Beach talking to women with a championship ring on your finger. That's fun. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it.
I can go back and forth on that.
I like it. I do, but to an extent, like you got to back it up, man.
Yeah, and for the most part, they have. I mean, unfortunately, you lose your last series of the season, but whether it be the coach or the players, I mean, people get motivated to play or perform at their highest level differently. Some coaches are like military generals, like stand straight, shut the hell up, and just go out there and play. The other coaches are like read the room, and it's like, man, if these guys want to talk some shit, they're good enough to back it up. I'll talk with them. It just kind of depends on who's in the room, and I think we've kind of proven over the last 2.5 years that we feed off of that kind of energy, and I'm totally fine with it. And if that makes us look like dummies when we lose our last game of the season and everybody's making fun of us, so be it. Because I think if they's acting like choir boys, I don't know if we'd get that far. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's each team has their own vibe, and whether
it's a fine line. It's just like being a class clown in high school, right? You can walk that line and get away with it, but you know where the line is, and you better walk it, or you're going to get in trouble. I mean, it's the same principle.
Well, we'll continue to have this conversation, I'm sure, because I just don't think that this Tennessee basketball team, and we'll talk about Tennessee baseball too, but especially Tennessee basketball, there's just something about them right now that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that they're going to make a deep run. And I'm almost kind of waiting on or expecting a round of 32 or round of 64 exit. Just depends on who they play, but we'll talk about that as we go on. But I don't think this is the last that we're going to have these conversations of people really questioning Rick Barnes, questioning, how far he can take us, all that stuff. It's just frustrating to me because I like Rick Barnes. I think he's a great coach. He wins 20 to 25 games a year. We're competing for the SEC. For the most part, competing nationally. We may not be going to the Final Four, but when I say competing nationally, we're recruiting on a national level. We're getting one of the top 4 seeds in a region every year. Like the guys on Hoop Southbound said, at some point that's got to pay off. At some point, you would think. Will it? I don't know. It may not, but and college basketball is so wide open that they could do that this year, but we'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch here over the next couple weeks.
I've got an interesting way of looking at it, I believe. And I think I said this a couple weeks ago, but every year we've been expecting a run, at least for like the last 4 or 5 years. We've been expecting a run.
Yeah.
This year, everybody's checked out. Expectations haven't been this low going into March for Tennessee in 6 years. This is when it's going to happen. Yeah. Like everybody's checked out. Don't really give a damn. Like, we'll watch baseball. Boom. Light somebody's ass up, go Elite Eight, maybe further, maybe Sweet 16. I don't know. I just feel like this is when it's going to happen because everybody's checked out.
So the thing, Harbin, I'm looking forward to, or interested, I guess I should say, in seeing, you're talking about the there's no hype around Tennessee and all that. Remember what was that? I guess Bowden's senior year when his junior year. Tennessee was number 1 in the country at a point in the season. They won 15 in a row. But we ended up being the 3 seed in the SEC tournament, beat 2 seed Kentucky in the semifinals. And I remember that weekend trying to find a ticket or trying to find a way to get out there, but the tickets were just astronomical through the roof because Tennessee and Kentucky fans, the arena was pretty much almost split 50-50. And then 2 years ago, there was a ton of Tennessee fans again down there. I just wonder what the Tennessee fan base or the Tennessee turnout will be from the fan base in Nashville this weekend because they're, like you said, there's this core group. You go to Thompson Bowling, there's 21,000 there most every night, or between 18 and 21,000, which is top 5 in the country. But there's just no chatter around this team. There's no excitement. I mean, it's just one of the most boring 22-win teams you'll see, which is interesting to say, but I just wonder what it'll be like this weekend at the Bridgestone Arena.
I don't know. I think you can expect a heavy amount of crimson and blue. Kentucky fans are always going to travel. And Bama fans, when you give them a winning product, they're going to too. I don't really know, just to be honest with you. I think it'll be decent. I don't think it'll be mind-blowing, but I think it'll still be okay. But let me ramble for just a quick second on my thought process of optimisticness, whatever you want to call it. This team sucks on the road. They're bad on the road. But we've proven for the most part this year that we don't really have a problem playing on neutral court. I mean, we lost to Colorado and Nashville. Okay, bad loss. I overreacted to that when it happened. That was in November. However, we won was it the Battle for Atlantis? Is that where we played?
Yes.
We won the Battle for Atlantis, beat some pretty good teams there. We beat Maryland when they was number 13 in the country in Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
We beat Kansas, who's going to be the 4th 1 seed on a neutral court. Was that also at Madison Square Garden?
That was in Atlantis.
Okay, that was the championship game in Atlantis.
Yes.
This team is not. I mean, this team's elite at home, and from what we've seen this year, they can play. They can play on a neutral court. Good thing is, we ain't going to the NIT. We ain't going to be going to somebody else's crib. And we play to our competition, which makes me nervous about first 2 rounds. But if we can scrape by in the first 2 rounds, which hopefully the first round's not scrape by, but if we can win both those games and we get to a neutral court versus somebody that's around our talent level, I like our odds. I truly do. You can call me crazy, call me insane. I don't give a damn. But stats show we've only lost 1 game on neutral court this season.
Go ahead.
If I ever get cancer, I want you to read the results. Buddy, you spin the hell out of this. I mean, more
Tell
likely.
Me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Buddy, listen, I agree. Hey, I've been alive. I've been alive without cancer more of my life than with it. I mean, I want you to read the results to me, bud.
Hey, and if you and if it ever comes to that point, I'll go to the doctor with you, and by God, you'll be hop, skipping, and a jumping out of that building.
Listen, I'm fired up right now. I may be back in on these boys.
I mean, seriously, what are we? Are we 6-1 on a neutral court this season with 3 ranked wins?
I don't know. Let me find that real quick.
Maryland was number 13. They're a tournament team. Kansas was high ranked. They're going to be a 1 seed.
So you were close, Harbin. We were 14-2 at home, 4-6 on the road, 4-1 neutral site.
Yeah, so we beat USC, Maryland, Kansas, and what was the other? Butler. We blew out Butler, and then and we lost Colorado early.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-1 on neutral court. 2 ranked wins. Is USC going to make the tournament?
That's what I'm looking up.
I haven't kept up with them.
They were in the chat. I'm pretty sure they are.
Are they?
Most of them, it says here, they're projected like 9, 10 seed, 11 seed, something like that.
Okay. So we got 3 neutral court wins over tourney teams. Blew out one that's not going to be there. Took care of business. And we had 1 bad loss. That was like our 3rd game of the year. That right there should give you some confidence going into the NCAA tournament.
Oh, I agree. Let's backtrack here a little bit. Last weekend, Tennessee lost at Auburn. Let me pull that score up here. 79-70. I'm trying to get the play-by-play pulled up because at one point, if I remember correctly, Tennessee was up 63-60 in the second half, and that's the first half I'm looking at. Sorry, everybody, but I think Tennessee went on like almost a 6-minute field goal drought to end the game. And that's what worries me about this team. And I'll tell you why they didn't make a field goal. They took Vescovi out of the game the last 5 minutes. Kudos to Bruce and the Auburn Tigers. They took Vescovi out of the game because he was carrying Tennessee pretty much all game long. He was on fire from the field. But, I mean, Tennessee was up. I'm looking at it here. 63-60 with 6 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the game. I don't think hit a field goal the final almost 6 minutes of the game. Now, we hit a lot of free throws, but that was kind of the situation we were in because we were having to foul, and for some reason Auburn kept fouling us. I don't know why. But yeah, what was your thoughts Saturday very quickly? Because that was one of the more – I've not been frustrated by a lot of the losses this year. I think the Florida game I was a little frustrated because we just didn't play worth a dime. The Missouri game I wasn't that frustrated because I felt like it was a fluke. The Vandy game, sometimes you just got to throw your hands up. They just beat us. They hit a shot at the buzzer and beat us. And that Vandy loss hasn't – I know they're not in quad one, but that team's been playing a lot better the second half of the season. I mean, their coach won Coach of the Year in the conference. But that game Saturday was one of the more aggravated I've been on the year. And I know my uncle called me. He was very aggravated. And I think part of it was because it's Auburn. Bruce is there. My cousin goes to school there. She was running her trap all Saturday afternoon, sending us text messages, even on Sunday. But
as she should, though.
Well, to the winners goes the spoils, but I also didn't run my mouth when we beat them 46-43 in Thompson Bowling earlier in the year. One of her sorority sisters was sending me a message like, "Take that in your face," and I'm like, we split this year." Well, her argument was, "Well, we won by more in the total score." I was like, "Well, whatever. Hang a banner," as they say on Twitter.
They did win the aggregate.
They won the aggregate, yes.
And that was talking soccer.
Yeah, I think that was one of I think that was the most aggravated I've been after a loss this year. But just because we should have beat Auburn. And I'm not saying Auburn's a bad team or anything, but we were better than them. And it was back and forth, but we showed moxie in the second half to go back ahead after being behind. I felt like we were the better team, but the last pretty much 6 minutes of the game, we didn't hit a field goal. And you can't do that down the stretch. That's what's going to haunt this team. I hope I'm dead wrong. That's what's going to haunt this team either this weekend in Nashville or next week in the big dance somewhere. I just don't – where's Julian Phillips? Step up and make a shot. Vescovi, he's got to have some help to get a shot. Where's Josiah Jordan-James in this situation? I mean, somebody's got to step up and make a shot, and they just could not – they couldn't do it Saturday. And it's not like they were taking bad shots. Somebody's just got to will one in the basket. Sometimes you just got to make it go in.
Credit to a guy that I've bashed pretty much all year. Tyreek Key showed up against Auburn.
He did.
And you was talking about willing something in. There when we was down for the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever it was, he put his head down and was like, "I'm either going to get fouled or I'm going to go try to make something happen." And I'll give him credit on that. That's what we've kind of wanted out of him all year. And I ain't a hater of him, but I've been one of his biggest critics. As far as the game goes, should we have won? Yes. Are we better than them? Yes. Was it frustrating? Yeah. Did that game matter, though, in the grand scheme of things? I don't think so. We didn't get the double bye in the SEC tournament, but as last year shows, SEC tournament don't really mean shit for NCAA seeding purposes, so what does it really matter?
Well, that's what Day said. I think he texted us the other night saying, that game really didn't matter. And really, looking at it from a Tennessee perspective, it didn't really hurt us in NCAA seeding. I mean, we might have dropped one spot overall, not a seed, but a spot. We lost a spot in the SEC tournament. We couldn't do any better than a 4. We couldn't do any worse than a 5. So really, I mean, you want to win the game, obviously. You want to be 23-8, not 22-9. But really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know why I was so upset. I think it was, again, because we lost to Auburn, Bruce Pearl, and Reagan Connard. But in reality, stepping back and looking at it, that game, like you said, didn't mean a whole lot, to be honest.
I think what was, I mean, I hate to be one of those guys like take something out of a loss, like moral victory or whatever. But we got 40 minutes of figuring out life without Zakai Ziegler before getting into tournament play, which that is a positive. We're going to have to figure it the hell out. And it worked for, 32 minutes, 33 minutes, whatever it was. We're going to have some guys step up. But I think they're going to figure it out. Since this is airing Thursday morning, we're playing Ole Miss. They're bad. We should win. I would say we'll be double-digit favorite. I'd like to see us kind of, I don't know if you can make a statement against Ole Miss, but, win handedly. Get some momentum rolling. Then I guess looking further ahead, I guess we have Missouri, or that's how it's going to line up.
Yes.
I like our odds in that one. I think we're better than them, and they won on a fluke, which credit to them. They played a great game. They were about 2 minutes from beating us by 20. But
yeah,
I think we'll bounce back and handle that. But also, we only have like 75 minutes of court play to kind of judge this team now. I mean, our primary ball handler's gone. I mean, you got Vescovi now, you got Phillips, you got Key, you got James. One of them Vescovi's stepped up.
Who? What?
One of them other three's going to have to step up and make some plays.
Was it, and I like Jimmy Dykes, was it Jimmy Dykes Saturday that kept saying, or was it another game earlier in the week that he kept saying that Meshack was our point guard? He had to be confused.
That was against Auburn.
He had to be confused with somebody else. Meshack's not our point guard.
I think at that point in the game, Meshack was guarding the point guard.
Okay. So I couldn't figure out what he was talking about.
Because we had I may be wrong, but I'm 90% sure that we had Meshack on Wendell Green for a considerable amount of time.
That dude threw up some of the most ridiculous threes Saturday. He couldn't the three before halftime. Just I threw my hands up in there and walked outside and went back to doing some yard work. I mean, that ball, he was guarded. He was in the very worst spot you can be to shoot a basketball, in my opinion. He was in the corner behind the basket, hand in his face. How in the world did he hit that shot? And it just, you're looking at that. Tennessee's up 7 going into the half, and now they're only up 4 or whatever it was. I think it was 4.
Yeah,
it was 34. It was 34-27. And I'm sitting there like, oh, that's great read right there. Great inbounds defense. And he makes it. I'm like, really? I mean, it's like things like that just aren't going Tennessee's way right now.
Well, I was confused in that moment because right before that, I believe it was Wendell Green drove in and the ball got knocked out.
Yes.
And the clock read
1.3.
Yeah, something like that. But then they tried to inbound and it got knocked out again. And it went down to 0.8. Well, then all of a sudden on the inbound, it switched to 1.5.
I don't know what that was.
Which maybe the original time was off. But because Wendell Green pump faked and then shot it. You ain't doing that with 0.8. And I'm not saying that's why we lost either. I'm just saying that was
I know.
Weird. That was a very weird.
Well, I'll tell you one I saw tonight. It's a non-SEC game. It was the Southland Conference. Northeastern versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi. The Islanders. I didn't know that was their name. Ball was rebounded. The guy that rebounded turned around, dribbled. Referee blew his whistle, called double dribble. He dribbled one time. And no one questioned it. The player threw his hands up. The coach threw his hands up. And the announcers never talked about it again. And I'm sitting there like, why are they not talking about this? That's like a pretty bad missed call because Northeastern or Northwestern, whatever team it was, I can't remember. Northwestern State. I'm sorry. They hit a 3 the next possession. I'm like, that was terrible. But anyways, I don't know. Some of the officiating, I think, gets lost sometimes, which I've officiated youth basketball. It happens. I've not officiated at that level, but sometimes you get caught and you miss things. I don't know. But, yeah, that was pretty wild there. I don't know why that clock got reset. I didn't go back and look. I didn't want to watch it again, but I don't know. Big Montana, you've not really said anything. You've been awful quiet.
Sorry, boys. I'm sitting here working and just enjoying the show. Courtside seats to the podcast that may or may not be canceled.
You can't cancel. You can't cancel us.
You can't listen. You can't kill what's already dead, boys. You cannot kill what's already dead.
Hey, where there's 2 or 3 gathered,
the Lord is
that's
there.
all you need.
Hey, listen, boys, I'm excited about. I love this time of year.
Oh, it's the best.
What is dead may never die.
listen. I don't think it's the best time of the year. I'm going to reserve that for October. But I do think the warmer weather, the grass is growing. I won't make a Rick Barnes reference to that. I love tournament basketball. I love sitting here all day. I'm going to get COVID in a couple of weeks or next week.
Next week.
Yeah, I'm going to get COVID and I'm going to be on the couch and just watching basketball all day. It's honestly a just lazy man's Olympics to watch basketball.
Tomorrow and Friday of this week, and then Thursday and Friday of next week are my 4 favorite days of the year, not counting like the Masters coming up. But these 4 days, tomorrow and Friday of this week, and then next week, Thursday and Friday of the big dance, just amazing.
The thing about it is, I hope that Tennessee makes it to the Sweet 16 just so we can have something to look forward to the next week. It sucks that, after your team loses, it's like, we're still going to watch, but like, we're not in it anymore. I do hope to see some mayhem happen. I love a good bracket buster. I love seeing a 16 beat a 1. I hope it happens again this year. I always look forward to the Cinderella team that's kind of not mid-major, but middle of the pack. And, they go on a deep run. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Tennessee this year. I don't think they're a Cinderella team really, but they could be.
It depends on who they play. What's your all's thoughts? We were talking about the SEC tournament. It's in Nashville. It's already, as we're recording, underway. Ole Miss has defeated South Carolina. Miserable season for the Gamecocks is over. LSU Georgia's playing currently. So when you're listening to this, the final, 12 teams will be set for the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Harbin mentioned it a little bit before I hit record, but what's your all semifinals and who do you have winning? Who's your semifinals? Who's in the championship? Who do you have winning?
I've got Bama and Tennessee up top and A&M and Kentucky at the bottom, or bracket-wise. I've got Kentucky beating A&M just because I feel like they're starting to play a little bit better, and this is just kind of the type of shit that they do.
They do call it the Wildcat Invitational.
And realistically, if I was putting money on it, I got Bama beating us. Obviously, I want to beat them by 30. I hate them. But, they're the number 1 team in the country. We already beat them once. Real hard to beat somebody that good twice. I think it'll be a great game. It also just kind of depends on which Tennessee team shows up. We could easily go out there and control the whole game and win by 9.
Yeah.
Very easily. But we could also go out there and be down 8-12 the whole game, But officially on paper, I've got Bama and Kentucky, which that'll make me absolutely vomit. But I've got Bama winning it. They get the regular season and the tourney.
What is a game, Harbin, that you're looking forward to in the SEC tournament, like a matchup?
I really want to see our rematch with Missouri. That's the one that I've kind of got circled just because that game in Knoxville was bonkers. Like Missouri got up 17-18 at the beginning or at the end of the first half, beginning of the second half. We stormed all the way back, and then they hit a March shot on us in January.
Yeah,
that's all you can say. They played great, and I think they're pretty good. I do think we're better. I'm looking forward to that, and if it gets to that point, I'm intrigued by the A&M Kentucky game. I'm intrigued by that one because I don't really have a read on A&M. I think they're I don't know if I can call them legit, but they're very, very solid. Them boys can play. They're big, they're athletic, but also when Kentucky's firing, hell, they're just as good as anybody in the SEC outside of Alabama, probably. So I will look forward to that game as well. But probably my number one marquee matchup for me would probably be the Missouri game.
So I'll give you my Final Four very quickly, very similar to yours, and a game to watch. My Final Four, I have Tennessee, Alabama, Texas A&M, Kentucky, and then Alabama, A&M playing for the title with A&M winning the tournament. The game I'm interested to see is tomorrow night, Thursday night. I think it's at 7 o'clock Eastern, Auburn and Arkansas. I think that one could be wild because Arkansas has been in a lot of tight games this year. They've not had the season that a lot of people have expected with that freshman recruiting class that came in. It's like I think I texted you all the other night or maybe tweeted it. Arkansas after last weekend was 18th in the net rankings. And probably I think they were top 20 in KenPom and they're 10th in the SEC. I think that shows you two things. The depth of the conference is pretty good. And they've struggled to close out and win some games. But I think that Auburn-Arkansas game, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, will be intriguing. But I think Tennessee gets to the semifinals for the sixth time in the past 7 tournaments. I just don't know that they've got enough firepower to get by Alabama. Would I be shocked if they got by Alabama? Absolutely not. Like you said, Tennessee's got all the pieces and the moxie to get there. I just don't know that. Can they put a whole game together? I don't know. And I just think A&M's playing really well right now. Buzz Williams has done a really good job there. They got to the title game last year. Tennessee kept them. It was like they were reaching for us and just couldn't get us. We had our arm out the whole time, just keeping them right away. It's like a little kid trying to get to you. But I think they can get over the hump this year. It'll be tough, though. It'll be, that Final Four teams is four pretty good teams if they get there. A&M, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama. I don't know. What do you got, Big Montana?
Final Four, I got Tennessee, Alabama, and then I've got A&M, Kentucky. I've got A&M moving on. I've got Tennessee moving on to the championship game. And just like last year, boys, I called it. Tennessee's going to win the damn thing. And you just remember that Big Montana was the only one that had faith in Rick Barnes and this Vols basketball team in March.
Remember last year, you and I on this show, we both picked Tennessee to win the title.
Exactly, boys. I got the juju. The last time I wore this hat on this podcast, I predicted a 10-win season. We did it. So here we are, boys.
We'll see.
After I started thinking about the bracket, what would be even juicier, and it would be Viagra for me. If we do get past Missouri and if we do get past Alabama and somehow Kentucky makes it to the championship, if we can repeat what they did to us 4 years ago after we swept them in the regular season and they won the SEC title, yes. if we could come back after going 0-2 to them and beat them in the SEC championship game, all is forgiven as far as Kentucky goes. That would be so incredible. So we avenge Missouri. We go 2-0 against Bama, and we avenge both Kentucky losses. Everybody's back on board, probably.
I will agree. I will let Rick Barnes lose to Mercer in the second round if that happens.
Yeah. I don't know if I go that far, but everybody's back on board going into the tournament.
That's like we won the SEC title last year, and we were mad that we lost to Michigan. I mean, it's like you think the little goodwill would go a little bit, but it didn't. But yeah, I don't know that I'm as confident this year as I was last year, Big Montana, about Tennessee's chances. Last year, I felt like looking at the bracket and the matchups, I felt really good. I don't feel like that this year. I mean, Missouri scares me a little bit just because of how hot they can get from three-point range. They could also be extremely cold because they shoot a ton of three-pointers. They're the anti-Tennessee right now, where Tennessee is methodical, wants to run set plays, off-ball screens, and Missouri's just spreading the court, drive to the basket, kick it out for a three. Hopefully it goes in for them, but I don't know. I think Tennessee beats Missouri, but that one worries me a little bit. But then Alabama's got a lot of firepower, and I don't know. They've not played well the last 2 or 3 weeks, which I don't think it's a coincidence with all the stuff they've had going on around the program. But I think at some point those kids put that away, and the media stopped talking about it a little bit. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
My favorite thing that would happen is the night before we play Alabama, they say that Miller cannot play because they have found more evidence and he is under arrest.
Or he gets charged, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or a mom shoots him. That would be like poetic justice.
Crazy. Yeah, that whole story is just wild. Sad. Well, we'll see. I got more heat, Harb. And very quickly, I thought I was doing something cool and engaging. Posted the bracket with the throwback logos on it, and I posted the Tennessee throwback without the Rifleman on it, and it was a throwback logo. And my God, people just pitched a fit about it.
I mean, okay, listen. This is a University of Tennessee podcast, not affiliated with the university, but fans of the university. Yes. You give Ole Miss the coolest damn logo they got. You give Arkansas the coolest damn logo they got. Hell, you even gave Florida and Kentucky cool logos. But by God, Tennessee just gets the standard italicized all caps font.
Kentucky
and then you decided to be a little smart ass and go with the damn Kohl's Cash Smoky logo.
That's the old Walmart logo.
Walmart logo, baby.
Kohl's logo. And I just quit responding after that. And then finally, on the third attempt, you finally gave us the Rifleman. How hard was it?
So I noticed there's two Rifleman logos. There's that one, and then there's the one with the Vols and the star. But I did notice I totally forgot to change the Kentucky one. And the Kentucky one was a throwback, but I put it in last year because I tried to put like the school names instead of just like a mascot logo or something. But I went in and changed it. You can see it on our Twitter. It's the Kentucky with the UK in the background with the cat like kind of clawing. So there's that. But yeah, I caught a lot of flack for that. But whatever. It's just I'll take the hate.
It's not been your week, bro.
No, it's just been a rough week, but I'll rebound.
Oh, yeah, it's like I said in the group chat. Can you leave the stupid shit to your personal Twitter account, please?
No.
Okay. Word.
No.
Word.
So Harbin was there Thursday night. Big Montana was there. He had to check out a little bit. Griffin had an upset tummy. The Hornets lost heartbreaker on Thursday night in the region championship game. Wild environment there at Jim Williams Gymnasium. But heartbreak for the Hornets. They had to go on the road. On Monday earlier this week, lost at Unicoi County by 14. They actually, I didn't go, but they actually had it down to single digits, 2-3 points at different points in the game, and Unicoi would make a run. But great season for those guys, 24-11. I've always said Carter's a basketball school. They win 20 to 25 games every year. They're going to compete for the region title. And this year especially, I thought they had a pretty good year. It was a senior class, heavy laden senior class, but 24 wins, and two of their better players, or two good basketball players, don't even go to the school and are playing on another team that's going to the state tournament in a lower classification. So imagine if they had those two players and they won 24 games without them. So shout out to those guys. Harbin, what do you think about the game Thursday night?
Unfortunately, that was my first game that I got to make this year. Traditionally, they play on nights that line up with my nights that I work. So I'm glad I got to come out. Jim Williams Gymnasium was packed. It was raucous. I sat with Bowling and Griff Dog until they had to exit. It was a great game. Them Halls boys just made shots, man.
What about that? What about Eminem making that shot where it almost hit the rafters for Halls?
I mean, what we were up one right there. We were up 1 or 2 right there, right?
Or
it was tied or something.
I think it was like 59-58. Carter.
Yeah. And there was about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, if that. They kick it to the wing, and old boy that hadn't really made a shot all night. He just chucks it up.
Of course.
Almost gets blocked, knocks a little bit of dust off the rafters, and is cash money.
Of course. Of course.
And then we go down and respond, get a bucket, and then they give it to that number 5, our best player. He was pretty good.
He's good.
And he just makes a super, super tough shot, a little turnaround off the block. Great defense, just better offense. Had their chances. It was a great back and forth game. It is what it is. Hornets had a great season. I was happy to see how they put on for Strawberry Plains.
Yeah. And no disrespect to the players that don't play for Carter that I brought up. I'm just saying, Carter won 24 games. What could they have done with 2 extra players that are contributing to the state tournament team? So
never know.
Never know.
All the disrespect for me. I don't care.
Wow.
Said it.
Well, it was a great season. I was disappointed. I was kind of hoping that we'd get to host a state sectional game this Monday night. I was nervous heading into the game, but I don't know, Harbin, I did pretty well, I think. I didn't mess up anything. So starting lineups went well.
Golden throat.
The golden-throated negative Nice.
Throat goat.
Whoa. Well, it was a great. This is one of the most fun seasons I've had. This was my second full season announcing, so really 2.5 seasons I've announced, but really fun and looking forward to next year. We'll see how Coach Kate gets the boys back, but big weekend coming up. SEC tournament, all the big conference tournaments are going on. The mid-majors are pretty much wrapped up by this point. Team I'm looking out for is College of Charleston, 31 wins. I think Oral Roberts might be another team to look out for. We'll see about an NCAA tournament preview show. Maybe try to do something Sunday night. We'll see what everybody's schedules looks like, but big weekend of basketball, fellas. It's time.
Fired up.
It's a great time of year.
Fired up. Sunday night, I'll already have 4 brackets filled out.
And really quickly, we're running out of time. We're up against it here. Section YY8 podcast bracket challenge is back. Head to our Twitter page to find a link. Winner gets a $50 Alumni Hall gift card, or if you're not a Tennessee fan and you win, we'll figure something out for you. But Alumni Hall, if you're a Tennessee fan, enter.
You don't get shit.
If you're not a Tennessee fan, then we'll just high five you and go on.
Get in, get out, make sure you pay.
That's right.
Even though it's free.
Well, I appreciate everybody listening. For Big Montana, for Harb, Day Vols not here, so I won't give him a shout out. Gavin, he's MIA, nobody knows. This has been the Section YY8 podcast.